Hello and welcome back to Flexible Games, where we are working on our way to logistics robots. First, we need electric engines. And I usually build electric engines near where my lubricant unloading station is. So we need to set up a system to build engines and then electric engines. So I'm going to use this area for my electric engines. I'm going to try to build a bank of two, so I'm making two at once. And I'm just looking at the ingredients. Again, this is a post commentary. I have one more video to do with this, and pretty much talk about the same things, trying to figure out where I'm going to put everything, how I'm going to lay it out. I know what I need, so we get to building. Trying to space this so everything lines up, or at least has a good chance of lining up. So my electric engines. So Factorio is sort of a game of seeing what space you have, seeing where your resources are, and figuring out the best strategy to handle an issue. So I'm just playing around with ideas, figuring out, where my ingredients are, how best to bring the ingredients up, craft everything. You can produce pipes way faster than electric engines, so you'll really only need one pipe manufacturer. It would be able to support multiple electric engines, but I just want two. I don't produce them in really vast quantities. With our upgraded assemblers, it'll be pretty fast anyway. So I put a buffer chest in there just to make sure any peak times can be covered. I go and take a bunch of robots. It'll have a buffer of engines ready to go. I won't have to craft a bunch on the fly. Same with electric engines. I want a buffer of those too. I will place a buffer chest for engines themselves, but I won't hook it up. I want everything going into electric engines first. Now I'm looking at my ingredients. I've got iron really close by. So there's pipes hooked up, ready to go. Now it's time for the other ingredients. So we've got plenty of pipe, now we need gears and steel. So gears are actually right there, which is really handy. They're used for belts, but belts will have first dibs on them. Any gears that slip past will go right into engine production. Figuring out how best to bring the gears over, make sure it's all rotated right, and there are gears. Set up some inserters for them and we're ready to go. Now we need steel. So I know steel is really close over there. I want to pull a separate line. I love how long these underground belts go. It's so handy. They take so many gears to make though. I mean, it is combined from yellow to red to blue to green all the way up to purple. It is a massive amount of resources to make those. And there's steel sorted out. So the regular engine's pumping out really well. Now I'm trying to figure out how best to deliver the lubricant up to the engine units. I'm looking on this side, but I realize I wouldn't be able to really pipe it up. So I figure I'm going to put it on the other side. That requires some changing of how I'm going to set up the chest. It's easy to hook that up. Ready to go. So these also need circuits, and I'm going to do the circuits very similar to how I do the gears on the other side. So the gears or the circuits can go right by the pipe. And I'm going to pull the circuits. It's kind of stuck on the crook of the pipe there. I'm actually going to pull circuits from the next one over. So I can always deliver more circuits to where they're needed. And I always bring another line up to this splitter here. And I'll make sure everything is rotated right here with inserters. Trying to figure out why I'm not seeing any green circuits yet. And I realize that's probably the rotation, yep. Now we need some power. And engines are on their way. And I initially derp out here and think that I can put them right into the chest, but I realize that I can't do that. And I realize for some reason I take the pipe too. So we'll just bring them out. The chest in the middle and some inserters to grab them off the ground. The ones I picked up in there, and we're good to go on electric engines. I will need to look at my lubricant system as far as oil production goes. I'm not producing very much heavy oil, so I'm going to have to look at that in a later episode, try to figure out how we can get some more heavy oil. We are going to need more refineries soon. We're going to start using a lot of plastic, so our refineries will kickstart. So now the engine's ready, we are starting robotics. I want logistics robots to help with some of the little ingredients that have to be spread out all over the place. So this process, I look at the recipe changes to logistics robots. Used to be you build just the first frame and that was all you needed. The robots you would just use in subsequent recipes, but the change to the recipe has been that each tier of new robot requires its own frame. They use similar ingredients, but it's a lot of construction to figure all this out. I'm looking at how my spacing is going to be. I want to preserve a little bit of space. I need to know where my materials are going to come in, what circuits are needed, trying to balance out the build so it's pretty good. You know, in a lot of my other builds, I know what I'm doing and I can just replicate it. But when a recipe changes, I have to play around a little bit, so it takes me a little longer. But in the end, I think I came up with a pretty elegant system. The robots you can craft pretty fast, but the frames take just as long as the engine units. So I give a wide space, because I need to bring up all the different circuits. And And these will essentially be the frames, this row that I'm building now. I want to make sure the frames are right and the robots can go down the edge, because really there's not many more ingredients to the robots than the frames. It's actually fewer. So the first set of frames, and then the robots. So I'm doing logistics on the left, construction on the right. I'm checking the times now. I'm looking at the times, and yes, it would be more efficient to have multiple frames going into just one robot assembly, because the ratios are way off. 20 seconds compared to 0.5 seconds. So what I do is I put a buffer chest to buffer the frames for when I'm not pulling robots out of the system. So as soon as everything builds, all the frames build up, robots build up, the system will sit, and when I pull if I pull 4 stacks of robots out of a chest, it will actually be replaced really fast. And I don't try to flood my base with robots. I don't usually have thousands of robots flying around. I try to keep it under 250 to 500, somewhere in that range. So this is tiers 3 and 4 of each of the robot types, and I ran out of assembly machines, so I grabbed some assembly machines. So I'm actually researching right now to get the more advanced robots so I can start building them right away. So there's a level 2 logistic and construction robots ready to go. Now for my ingredients. I know I'm going to need batteries, steel, and all the different types of circuits. So I'm thinking about where my circuits are going to go, where I can bring them in. And this is kind of a tricky situation, because I use 3 belts in the middle. I'm going to have to offset some of the inserters. I'm looking now how I'm going to manage, because I need to bring steel as well down. Batteries will go right down the middle. I'm doing requester chests for engines. And I'm going to set it, I'm not going to set it too high. So electric engines, it defaults to 50 for 1 stack, but I bring it down to just a 10 for each. So I'm going to copy and paste that setting across everything. Double check. Get some inserters going. I'm really anxious to get bots going, so I'm trying to do this efficiently and fast. Get everything kicked off. I wish I remembered the sorts of things I was talking about when I was recording this. So there's circuits. looking where I need red circuits. So here again, I'm going to trick to bring everything in. Instead of bringing something down and using a lot of the vertical space that I require, I'm going to sort of sneak them in from the side. Because if you put too many things on your belt, oops, yep, move so fast I had very little reaction time. So there's red circuits ready to go. Looking at bringing steel and batteries down now. And I have the new frames I can put in, I just researched. And the new bots. So the Mark III construction and the Mark III logistics. So the Mark IIIs use blue circuits. Well, I do need to bring these down from the bus. Luckily, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, blue circuits are set. And now I'm looking at essentially the purple circuits. This is a Dytech added item, and I'm looking at how much resin I have, and I figure I might as well kick off all of my smelting for rubber. And I want to take the first rubber that I get and sort of manually craft them into circuits. Because I want to kickstart a couple robots. Get them going. Place the rest of my chests. Paste them all, make sure they're all limited. Okay. And I'm working on the last robotics research right now. I'm going to kick that off before I kick everything into gear. And let's see. It's almost time. It's so exciting. I'm not sure what I'm looking for here. Oh, I was looking for the frames, the new frames. Might have been waiting for the research to finish. I put the ones I crafted in just to kickstart it a little bit, and I realize I'm out of materials to craft inserters, so I run up, grab some steel, grab some iron. Got lots of copper and stone on me. Don't really need it right now. And now I bring down steel. And I realize I can't bring it down right there. So I bring it down on the other side. Yeah. Gotta offset it into the path a little bit. Now I need batteries, which are kind of way back here. But again, I wait to bring the material over until I get everything hooked up. That way I don't fill my inventory up with material that I have to take off belts that I disable. Batteries come flying in. Now I hook up the new robots. And it's time for inserters. I look at the recipe to make sure that the frames don't require the previous frames. I need to make some extended arms to grab the middle tier stuff. I know I'm going to need batteries, so I'm figuring out to just possibly extend. Yep, there I extend. I realize I need more, and I'm out of circuits, so I just grab a bunch of circuits. These complicated, these kind of really dense builds. It's very easy to miss an inserter somewhere. So I'm going to run up and grab the engines that we've produced thus far and manually put them in. See how many we've got. And look, and it's a good amount, 320. It's a good starting point. Add some more inserters just to make sure everything is good to go. Time for, I'm trying to figure out a way to evenly spread the engines, but I realize that I don't really have enough to be even, so I just kind of give up and figure I'd just put the engines in. And then half the last two. I build a couple more of those advanced processing units, and I realized that the logistics robots themselves also need circuits. Well, that'll do it for the episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.